And we begin with soaring tensions in the Gulf. Iran has denied American accusations that it attacked two tankers in the Gulf of Oman on Thursday. The vessels were hit while traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. The blasts have raised concerns about the possibility of a new U.S.-Iran confrontation, with Tehran accusing Washington of sabotage diplomacy.
Was this, as the U.S. military claims, Iranian forces removing an unexploded mine from the side of the Kokuka Courageous tanker in the Gulf of Oman? It was one of two tankers that was attacked in the Gulf on Thursday. Both vessels were hit with explosions, forcing crews to abandon ship in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz between the UAE, Oman and Iran. Washington has pointed the finger of blame solely at Iran.
This assessment is based on intelligence, the weapons used, the level of expertise needed to execute the operation, recent similar Iranian attacks on shipping, and the fact that no proxy group operating in the area has the resources and proficiency to act with such a high degree of sophistication.
To cement their claim, the U.S. military even released this photograph of one of the vessels, purportedly showing an unexploded mine on the ship before it was eventually removed. Tehran has denied the accusations, instead accusing the U.S. and its regional allies, including the United Arab Emirates, of warmongering. The Strait of Hormuz is a crucial shipping passage. A third of the 60 million barrels of oil that move each day pass through the waters. But Iran has threatened to block the passageway if it cannot sell its oil due to U.S. sanctions that were recently imposed after Washington pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal with Tehran. This is the second major escalation in the region in weeks. Last month, 4 ships docked in the UAE's Fujairah port, one of the world's largest bunkering hubs, were attacked. A preliminary investigation failed to uncover an Iranian link, but investigators said it showed clear signs of a state actor.
Meanwhile, Japan's defense minister says he will not send troops to the Middle East in response to the attack. Speaking to reporters, Takeshi Iwaya said he didn't consider the situation to be an imminent threat to Japan.
The attacks took place as Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe made a rare visit to Iran to mediate between Tehran and Washington. And one of the tankers attacked was Japanese-owned.
Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono said he is working with related countries to urgently assess the details of what happened on Thursday. He also emphasized that through Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's trip to Iran, Japan wanted to establish peace in the Middle East.
They have no intentions, and they also are seeking the peace in the region. So the meeting was very fruitful, and we will be continuing dialogue with Iran to ease the tension. As for the accident of Oman coast, we are still gathering the information, what really happened.
And Simon Marks monitoring the story in the U.S. He joins us now from Washington. Simon, quick question. Why is the U.S. so quick to conclude that Iran is to blame?
Well, there are definitely figures within the Trump administration, as you know, Glenda, that are very keen to show that Iran is a malign actor in the region. But Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and you heard him there, says that the United States has simply concluded that there was no one else that could have been responsible. They look at the video of that craft removing an unexploded mine from the side of one of the ships. They say it looks very much like the type of naval craft that the Iranians habitually use in the Gulf of Oman. They say that Iranian craft was spotted in the waters in the area in the hours leading up to the attacks. And they also say, look, Iran back in April said, we are going to start disrupting shipping in the Straits of Hormuz. And Mike Pompeo says this is Iran executing on that threat. However, there are questions here about the timing of this. Why would Iran have chosen to do this at the very moment that the Japanese Prime Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was engaged in talks with top Iranian leaders and beginning some kind of overture with Tehran. And should the proof of this not, in fact, be taken to the United Nations? That, at least, is what some members of Congress are calling for, concerned that the Trump administration may be thinking about some kind of military reprisals.
Well, this is a major strategic passage for oil. We don't know yet if it was Tehran or indeed someone else. But in any event, what could America realistically do about it?
Well, in the immediate hours after these events, the Trump administration announced that it was moving a naval destroyer to the scene, the USS Mason. It said in a statement released by the Pentagon that that destroyer would be assisting in rescue efforts, although clearly that destroyer could also be a flexing of military muscle, a sort of rhetorical, symbolic shot across Iran's bows. As I say, there are figures within the Trump administration, particularly the president's national security advisor, John Bolton, who are very hawkish on the subject of Iran and have appeared at times in the past eager to foment some kind of conflict in the region. President Trump himself has been very wary of being sucked into that, and indeed privately has been critical of his national security advisor for pushing him in that direction. But the United States is committed publicly to preserving freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. It will, it says, continue to engage in those kinds of actions. And I think everybody here is wondering, is this the beginning of something more in terms of the U.S. relationship with Iran, or is this some kind of, as yet not fully explained, one-off incident in the Gulf of Oman? But definitely it's concentrating the minds of policymakers here in Washington, D.C.
All right, many thanks for that. Simon Marks speaking to us from Washington, D.C.